I've done a lot of thinking about how what's going on with me you can grasp just a little bit of it, but when it comes to see, in order for this to transpire, what I'm trying to relay, I've got to literally morph into like a bad guy. Like we have to go back in time. All right, so you've got to literally morph in to something that you don't know that you have. What I mean by that is you've got to learn how to cut distractions out, and this AI shit and all these images we've had our entire lives will not allow that. I'm there. Few others are getting there. You don't understand what I'm saying when I say that. It's hard to understand that the average individual has literally hundreds of thousands of distractions each day that the optic nerve registers to the brain. So it becomes numb. That's why the brain can't understand. It can't understand anything because it just thinks for a second. It can't fucking ponder. It can't cut impulses to the brain to allow what the subject matter, the topic, is important. They might be listening to something, but some of us grew up without this technology. We grew up into it. Now our children grew up into the AI, so they don't have a clue of certain things. But when it comes to programming human beings and selling this for what it is, the whole ideal of a town, okay, look, a town is something that that's their main ingredient to set up major propaganda and major malfunction, generational malfunction, setting up major generational lies to where it's just ingrained in depth to where it doesn't matter what land either. But what depends on the time in history, and we'll say like setting up here in America, they're going to have the average, we're going to have the average plan. And what I mean by that is towns represent brands. So when we set up our towns, remember the technology is not there. We're resetting the world. There's no communication, there's nothing. There's no nothing. You come from horse and buggy and tents and all this other shit. So we've reset the world. Okay? And part of this reset is we program our generations to go set up towns. And we have other individuals that are programmed as pastors or reverends or bullshit as you know them. So the town is basically set up with a bank, with a church, with a store, a town square. You understand what I'm saying? It's going to have a stage. And eventually each one of those towns will be a theater. They'll have more people. But there's not any, there's maybe a few railroad tracks, we'll say, because I'm setting up a town. So look, I've got a bunch of, so I got a bunch of people. I got 30 of them, and we're going up here. We've already set up somewhere in the woods. We've already got a church set up and all kinds of shit set up, and they're going to morph into it. Do you understand what I'm saying? They have fucking no idea. They've been alive for this point in time. We've taught them to just read enough to where they can read our brands, and we tell them what they're going to do and how they're going to grow into this town, you know, and how we're going to have a cardinal there, or whatever kind of, you know, church person. Do you understand? We're going to show you how to live, because we're setting, you know, this system up. So there's only a few of them. Now there's a railroad down the way, but they have to be taught, you know, once every 2 weeks. You might walk down there to the railroad and catch to another town, so you can get the impressions of, oh man, I want to come here. You see what I mean? But everything in the town is what we fucking control. All of your thoughts comes from us. That's what I'm saying. When we set these fucking dummies up here in a minute, we're giving them magazines and newspapers and all that shit. You understand? We're setting up a community. And we want them to have offspring. You know what I mean? But there's going to be other people, you know, here waiting on them. But we're getting it, you know, to around 100, 150. All different walks of life. Just teaching them the very basics. But they're growing into a false religion, a false system of banking, a false system. It is all fucking to bleed in generationally, to never question anything. Do you understand what I'm saying? So, those of us that create these towns and set them up, you know, we're all a hidden brotherhood, whether it's the church, whether it's, you know, banking and all that. We set it up to where you run it yourselves, basically. Sometimes you even develop it yourself, because that's all you've known, and we don't have to fucking do anything, because it represents our supplies. See what I mean? We set it up for you to fucking depend on us, and then we give you fucking t-shirts and all this other shit with our brands on them. And then you grow into it. We get you to say it's brand new and all this, because we're creating a world that's toxic. You had free power and all this other shit, and we got rid of it. So we're going to create fuel and all that other shit to where in time we'll have all these careers for all the dummies, and it's ingenious what we've done. So now there's a railroad track literally coming through that town. Do you understand what I'm saying? Eventually. So now everybody's commuting more. So now here comes fucking vehicles and radio. Okay? Because that town was just controlled by our newspapers and magazines and what we brought in and what they did on Sunday. And you till the ground out there and live a generation of fucking obedience to us, which is demons. And then they grow into that shit. The next generation, you know, are coming in a couple decades is the radio. And then we control the radio waves that penetrate your ear. We control all the towns. All the towns have our radios and our newspapers in them. So one generation had the newspapers, and the next they're going to have them, but they're going to have radio too. So you've literally got to where we've got you reading it, and then you listen to the shit all fucking day. And then we don't have nothing else, because in the towns and the stages and the theaters now, we've got our fake movie stars, to where we've got all those little bitty girls and boys trying to be like some fantasy bullshit, some black magic fucking sorcery. And then they grow into that, and then you tie in each town, and now you got one fucking sale. You got many towns, and then one sale of all one, you know, different impulses, but one main reason. And that's to control them and to convert them into materialism, which would be possessions, which would be Ahriman. That's what we do is we throw Ahriman in there and let him do his thing. Ahriman lures you. Does it make sense now? And see what the like these huge, like out in the country here, you know, there's these huge churches popping up. Okay, well, if you go back just a couple of generations, the ones out in the countryside, their offspring was growing into the AI and shit. So, you know, we controlled their parents and grandparents through the newspapers and the radio, and then here comes them into AI, which they go off image. These new humans we've created through AI, they see image. They can't see within. So what they do is they've grown into these, it doesn't matter. These churches are not what you think they are. But what these false prophets do, they're not. They're Jesuits. They're trained at what they do. And if they don't know, they don't know. But most of them do in these high positions. But they're trained. The towns are already set up the way we set them up. Okay? And now what you have is you have the cast of characters coming in. And they're going to be talking about what's on in the movie or on stage. They're going to be talking about what's in the get some store. They're going to blend into the fucking brands with the community. So the community depends into the brand, blends in, intertwines into the brands. Instead of depending on themselves and knowing the magnetic field and knowing how important it is to grow everything out of the ground, you'd be an expert in every field if it was up to me. But you don't have that. That's what we're saying. You're the product. So these pastors, these reverends, they already know that when they're trained early in life, just like a fucking canine, like drilled with satanic shit on how to control us. But they already know that we've created the environment. So it's their job to go into the community, and whatever comes over the news in these huge mega churches now in these countrysides, they all talk about what's on the news. Well, we need to do the right thing. You see what I mean? It is fucking badass what they've done. But see, then again, if I did it, then that's why I'm telling you this. It's easy for me to see this. And see, I could get into karma and fuck you up real bad, because some of y'all would be like, holy shit. Some of y'all, you listen, everything that you've ever been given is a lie. That's what I'm saying. They created all the cultures. Every fucking one of them. The past 500 years especially is nothing but it's just regurgitated fucking garbage. But it's the thing is we can go to any nation and the towns are basically the same thing. We're intertwining our brands, which is materialism, which is Ahrimanic, it's spirit. See, you don't have what comes out of the ground, which is truthfully your spirit, and you need that to be connected to all that. But you don't have it because we didn't give it to you. That's why you won't listen to Matt, and it's fucking ingenious. But the Saturnian energy, see, if you eat these foods, and then you get energy from those orbs up there, I can tell you that. And we don't want you to have that, because then that means you're connected, and we don't want you connected. We want you ignorant as shit. We want you intertwined. We want you with your Jesus, with Ahriman, intertwined. Justification behind everything is what you have. But see, these pastors, and these congregations, it's an aggregate of a con. They think they're voting on some shit, and it's not real. For one, Jesus would never have a position. And see, there's no positions. Like, people think there's positions in these churches, and see, these people that control them, and these pastors already know that, like, in these huge structures, that somebody's going to go, they'll get killed and sacrificed. But they have to go with it, and they have to sell it to the congregation. Like, if something breaks out, like C-19, somebody will die in there, and they'll go, yeah, we need to wear a mask and get a shot. And that's how black magic works. And then you make the whole of the con of an aggregate, the congregation, fucking, they morph into this fucking sick Ahrimanic fucking black magic spell, that's generational. Because you're tying in, some of these churches use the older ones. Well, we're this church from 120 years. Man, my great-great-grandmother fucking built this church. You're going to hell. That's how ingrained this Ahrimanic demon is. I'm going to set them up. We're setting up a church right now. It's 120 years ago, too. So in 120 fucking years, that church that we're setting up is going to be a mega church somewhere. And you're going to have bloodlines in there. And they're going to be fucking taking up for that shit left and right, and there's going to be millions of dollars in the parking lot. And it's not fucking real. It's what we do. It's what we do. So whatever these pastors in each town and city, it doesn't matter now too, they've brought in AI. It is insane. It's not hard to see it. You know, each generation, they just lax it just a little bit more. Here's Disney. Disney's okay. It's black magic. And that's who controls these churches. It's these fucking Satanists. Big time Satanists. They're harvesting souls. You know, so they're trained to, you know, if somebody dies, that they have to sell it. Whatever's on TV, they go with it. Whatever the sports are, go with it, sell it to the aggregate of the con. That's how easy it is. It's all materialism. It's not real. And the people they have every excuse for me. It's because they're these little Ahrimanics. The pills open up the door to eat whatever you want. We tell you need to know who you are, and you say, fuck you, I can do whatever I want. That's a child. And then you go to those huge structures. We win, you lose. We have your soul. There you go. You don't fucking see how easy that is. Listen, Matt, look, what's in him that has to do with Saturn literally fucking put him on a cross-country tour once upon a time in this journey to where he had to go to Arkansas, he had to go to Gulf, he had to drive through all these states, and he was into the towns. He was actually into fucking researching them. And him and this one, the dude that he helped with the salts get his mind straight, that was mentally challenged, that nobody even listens to. I'm telling you, he's on fire. But anyways, he went through these towns and did videos of these fucking towns, and he put it together way back then. You know, and said this is a fucking like a blueprint. It's like a blueprint, which has to do with Saturn. Blueprint. And now, if some of y'all are seeing this, check this out real quick. If you can see some of this that I'm telling you that's coming from the other side, okay, that means that you are literally a blueprint or a copy of a very hierarchy, like archangeli, which would be a high, like an Elohim status. Where do you think all the rank comes from in the military? It comes from up there. It comes from a spirit of formation. You have spirit within, you know, each one of these life forms out here. You know, you've got spirit in each one of the shows that comes on the TV because they're different channels. So you're channeling something different. The black magic magicians that put the script together, they're scripting the mind. Then the host is taking pre-script ions. Ions has to do with one together. So they're pre-scripting the ions together. Their blood is all connected to the AI, to the cell towers. The cell towers are emitting signals into them to their brain, and it's keeping them in front of the TV, which is telekinesis, black magic. It moves them. So I'm saying we're going to set this town up, and we're going to put up some many signs. We're just going to put signs up everywhere. They know how just to read enough, but those signs are going to tell them to go here, 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 and it's going to have images on them. And their subconscious is going to bleed into those images. They're not even going to see nature. Very little. So when they go to the next town, their subconscious knows to go to those signs, which is a force. It's a sigil. It's a signature. It has to do with it has to do with the force. Okay? And that's what it is. It's all black magic. Every bit of it. You know, but that's the whole thing is each town has the same fucking signs. They have the same shit. It's the same shit on stage, and then it all morphed into, you know, the fucking movies and Hollywood, the wood from the holly tree, you know, that the black magicians of old, you know, and they, like Atlantis. Like, if you really want to get into the history of stuff, Like during Atlantis, which was real, we didn't have this human figure like you see now. And what corrupted Atlantis was black fucking magic. But some crazy shit happened, and you don't know about that up there. The same way that a combination lock turns and then it unlocks. Well, the combination lock comes from that up there, and those increments represent numbers. And through certain numbers and constellations, certain things happen that are being poured into this world or being converted. You know what I mean? And it's the energy, it's the souls, is what it is. It's all of it together. It's everything going over at once. See, even when these trees out here don't live a full life, that force goes to the other side of not living a full life. You understand? That's like with the humans. You create these towns in this Ahrimanic mind, this materialistic mind. So the forces of that community is all materialistic. So none of the forces have gone to knowing the system that you're truly in. You've been trained, here, just Google it. There it is, Matt. No, you've never observed anything with your own eyes. That's the whole point. The towns create you to be enclosed. That's the whole thing is now there's space. Hey, yeah. Which if you could add up, how many fucking movies have you ever seen with space? How many commercials? How much is this? That's our whole thing. And when you can start to understand, it's just overload. And it's just like with space, it's the pills. There's fucking, your medical commercials are mini movies. With fucking bands and shit playing in them and actors and everything playing in commercials for medication. So, do you not understand what we're saying? It's black magic. It's telekinesis. It's moving you. The tones and all that's not real. But generationally, through your blood, you have been put in a town which you've been created to be an Ahriman. It doesn't matter how much money you have. It doesn't matter who you... That's materialism. That was created by these Phoenician fucking world rulers that I am so too familiar with. It's the truth too, and they love it when you say that. It's Phoenicians. They've controlled the fucking waters for a long time. We've said this before. You know, they cut off the fucking land, this land that we know as America, from 1200 to 1500. Prep it to get ready for what we're in, to get ready for this one world, you know. Oh man, this one world fucking order that we're in. Man, what did they do? But, you know, we're setting up a town. And we're just going to throw them out there. And there's going to be a fucking priest there. And then we'll come back in 100 fucking years. I mean, we'll come through from time to time, our lesser generals, just to check on things. But they're going to morph into all our fucking propaganda. And then we're going to tell them they're not in a dictatorship. And they'll tell you they're not in one. No, we're not. We have not been raised. They're going to have certificates just like a fucking dummy. Like a donkey. Yeah. Birth certificates just like a slave. They're fucking dumb. I'm telling you, that's what we do. And you're ingrained. You won't come out of it. You won't. All your fluids in your brain has been programmed into our AI. Into our chemicals and our substances. In our fast foods and gas stations and all this other shit. See, from the towns, we've got to get our fucking fuel going. So we had all of our little vehicles built, you know. And then we didn't have seat belts in them, so we need to get our hospitals created, which we're going to slave the world with eventually. So we had to get people fucked up and they wrecked and all that, so we can have more, built more. Any kind of chaos creates more for us. We'll create just another entity and suck more money out of you, tax the shit out of you, and then you dummies won't question nothing. Not a fucking thing. It's so ingenious what we do. But you can't see it. And when you can't see it, you're not going to question anything. You understand? So maybe some of that will help you out on understanding how they do this. Like the private schools are not what you think they are. That's a pride thing. See, the average human being, they'll tell you, I've worked really hard on my career and for this title, and it's like you've memorized it. You don't have no fucking experience at what you do. You don't have no observational experience whatsoever. And what little bit that you do have is not enough. You should be prepped from day one as a child through your schooling and everything to do what you're doing. We can prove that you've memorized your career. We can prove that school is nothing but memorization. It goes with the paint on the walls. It's children on the playground out there creating little groups to get ready for this life, to have separation, division, and everything. Poor, rich kid, all kinds of this shit, just fucked up and everything. Selling candy in 3rd grade, we get you then to where the materialism. You should learn who you are, but when you're in 3rd, but no, when you don't even question that's how fucking dumb y'all are. It's very easy to see how we program you to make you a materialistic demon. We created the Dolly Partons and the fucking working 9 to 5 to create the women movement of go work to separate the family even more. And that's what we've done. And we win every time. And they'll say, well, we need what? You need to go what? We did it. Whatever you're going to say, we created you. Any movement that you can think of, we fucking created it. We control you in every aspect that you can fucking think of. We created your towns. So that means ever since then, we've been creating more control around you. More hidden fucking assassins. More and more. And we keep getting away with it. And there ain't nobody saying shit except for a few people. I love you. Hell yeah.